Well, the moment that we've all been awaiting for is a little over 2 days away. It's the FIFA World Cup final. The two teams have been decided. We started off, of course, with a grand tournament that was featuring 32 of the best nations in the world. We whittled them down to 16, and then there were 8, down to 4, and finally the two nations that will contest for the right to be called world champions. It'll be France or Croatia to take over from Germany, who were deposed very early on in the competition. My name is Mike Madoda. With me is Barry Menandi, and we'll be giving you the preview of that match that will be played in Moscow on Sunday.
And of course, this broadcast is proudly brought to you by Zol Zimbabwe. And we've got exciting news coming out of Zol Zimbabwe, because until the 30th of November, we've got the Pause for Rewards promotion, where you could stand a chance to win some awesome monthly prizes. I'm talking things like cell phones aplenty, smart TVs, home theater systems. There's washing machines even for the ladies out there and those guys who just want to keep their clothes. There's free hotel accommodation and of course aeroplane tickets every single month until the 30th of November. But here's the great thing. At the end of November, there's also a grand draw where you could win yourself one of 3 NP200 vehicles. So you could win yourself a vehicle in this promotion as well. How do you get in? All you have to do is spend a minimum of $15, and $15 every multiple of $15 that you spend with Zol Zimbabwe on selected products will get you 1 paw. The more you spend, the more paws you earn, the more your chances of winning.
Absolutely. It's a great one to get involved in, and we're not getting left behind right here on today's show. We are also giving away a great prize. You can win yourself, of course, that fantastic little doofy that we have, Barry, where we've been watching, of course, the World Cup action and plenty of entertainment, the Rocker Box. You can win that. Just stay tuned to find out how you can do that. But of course, we will be welcoming your messages as well. Just post your thoughts, your views, your take on the action in Russia 2018. Now down to 2 nations, France versus Croatia. But before, of course, we get into the meat of the matter, Barry, let's just cast our eyes back to when the tournament started to where it is now. And for me, I've got to ask you this. Who do you think has been the most outstanding player in Russia?
Shucks, you know what? It's a toss-up, because you've got to look at players who've gone deep in the tournament, obviously. And so for me, I would say it's probably going to be Luka Modric. I think he's been an absolute colossus in the midfield for Croatia, and I think them getting to the final has been chiefly as a result of the efforts of that player. For me, I think he edges it ahead of your Antoine Griezmann's of this world, because I think he's had a good World Cup as well. For you?
I think I will go with Luka Modric. I think he's been the most outstanding player. He's played like a leader for Croatia. He's been there. He's been creative. He's also scored a couple of goals as well in the tournament. So he's definitely been one of the standout performers. I noticed you went with Antoine Griezmann for France. I'm going to disagree. I think France's most outstanding player has been N'Golo Kante. And the problem is he plays in such an unfashionable position. He's the holding midfielder. He's a water carrier. He's doing all the dirty work. So he doesn't get the acclamation that, of course, the attacking players or the more creative players will get. But N'Golo Kante, for me, has been the glue that has held France together. So for me, he's been France's best player. But does he necessarily get the vote for the best player in the tournament? And we know the way that some of these things work. Sometimes it's a commercial consideration, and therefore you've got to say that if Croatia wins it, it's likely to be Luka Modric.
Yeah, Luka Modric, and also the Real Madrid link as well. I think he becomes a fashionable choice for the pundits who will decide on that. And I want to ask you, talk about going back before we go forward. I just want to go back right to the start of the tournament. Going into this tournament, we heard a lot of talk about Russia, and there was a lot of negativity around it. Your assessment of the tournament so far? Yeah,
the tournament has been great. I think operationally, a lot of the players have come out and spoken very highly of the organization, the level of organization in Russia. So the tournament from an administrative point of view has gone well. There were a lot of fears over hooliganism as well, as we saw during the Confederations Cup, and we saw, of course, Russian fans when they went for the Euros. That's 2 years ago. You cast your eyes back to then when they were in France. I mean, there was a lot of talk around hooliganism, and of course, it's very big in Eastern Europe. In Russia, in Poland, in Ukraine. So it was expected to be possibly a blight on this tournament. But what I loved about Vladimir Putin and the Russian government, what they did is that they ensured that they had legislation in place that ensured that if you were of course, found guilty of hooliganism, you were going in for a long stretch in prison. And also they were proactive in making sure that some of the leaders of the ultras, okay, as they are known, some of the more radical elements in Russia, those guys were placed under house arrest for the duration of the World Cup tournament. So you're free to watch the World Cup, but only on TV.
On TV.
You're not allowed to come to the stadium because we know that you're capable of starting trouble. So from that point, no hooliganism. It's been run well, and as a tournament, it served up surprises.
It served up surprise upon surprise. I got to a stage whereby, and you and I do other work on radio as well. I got to a point whereby predictions have been an absolute nightmare. Because you know that the favorite is going to have a tough time of it. Even if the favorite does go through, it's going to be hard for them to go through. So it's been a struggle in that regard. But I want to add also to the overall tournament the fact that we've had full stadiums, and there's nothing that is better for a tournament than full stadiums, bums in seats, people watching games, an atmosphere created, and Russia has been fantastic.
Well, that's why FIFA has managed to build up the tournament to the value of $5 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 month of action is worth $5 billion. This is more than the GDP of most African countries. So it just shows you how big the FIFA World Cup is as a product and as a tournament. And so it's been fantastic. We've also seen, of course, the likes of Budweiser as well. They've come on and they've been very prominent in the advertising, taking over, I think, the lead role from Coca-Cola, who we were used to in past tournaments. So it's also been a commercial success. And for FIFA, that's what's most important, because that's the money that they use to then, of course, feed into the different federations, that they use to then feed into the different organizations running football in different countries. And that's the money that's supposedly supposed to be used for football development, but not usually so, because we then see, of course, these football administrators in the MLs, the GLs, the Land Cruisers, the Prados, the men in suits, okay, that don't play the football, but they end up being the biggest beneficiaries when it comes to the tournament.
We're going to talk about the third and fourth place playoff, and of course the big one, the finale.
Do we have to play about the third and fourth place? Who watches that game anyway?
We're going to mention it.
No one watches that game. I mean, come on, it's just a kickabout.
We're going to mention it, but the big one is our focus today. But before we get there, just one little point. We've seen the introduction of VAR, Video Assistant Referee.
I've loved it. I've loved it.
You've loved it?
I've loved VAR.
Has it worked for you?
It has worked for me. It has worked for me because, and before I go on and tell you how it's worked, I think it's also important to note that a lot of the confusion around VAR, the Video Assistant Referee, has been around a lack of education and a lack of information around what VAR is, how it works, and the protocol around VAR.
Can we place that at the administrator's door, whereby there could have been a lot more education done before the tournament?
I think so.
I think the new IFAB rules came out for 2018, 2019, came out about a month before the tournament. But was that enough? That was for the aficionados.
Yeah, absolutely. But then, Barry, I think there is a level of proactivity that the media needs to have, because for a lot of the guys who are disseminating the misinformation and a lot of the confusion were actually the media pundits, the guys who are on TV, the guys who are watching on TV or on the different products and different shows that were being, of course, shown around the World Cup. They didn't seem to understand VAR. And if they don't understand, it means that the viewers that they're talking to are going to be misinformed. Now, what am I talking about? Of course, VAR sets certain parameters of how it operated. And a lot of them are centered around, of course, the fact that, for example, if a guy committed an offense in the penalty box, and the referee missed it, okay, it was not up to the players to then protest.
Correct.
The game is supposed to go on. The video assistant referee in Moscow is having a look at this on TV. He's communicating, of course, with the referee.
The center referee.
And he's able to then tell him, okay, you may have missed something. But it was also important to note that the center referee remains the guy who's solely in charge of making all the decisions. So VAR was merely there to recommend. The referee would still then have to make a final decision on what he possibly would be told via the earpiece, or what he would then be asked to go and have a look by the sidelines and have a look on the screen, and still have the right to say, you know what, I agree with you guys, that's a penalty, or you know what, I don't think so. let's play on.
And the times when VAR would insist that the centre referee have a look at something was in the instance of a clear
Yes,
and obvious mistake. And
Yes.
so consequently, if the VAR just recommended and said, well, look, it could go either way, the referee is at liberty to say, you know what, I'm going to leave it. I'm confident with the decision I've made. It's not a pen, it's not a goal, it's not an offside. I am going with my on-field decision. So it works a little. I think what also a little confusion has come from other sports that have implemented similar technology, where you've got the TMOs in rugby, where it's almost a referral system. So it's not that in football, and I think we need to understand that. It may get there, but right now it's not.
That's why I talk about the protocol.
Exactly.
One needed to understand what the protocol was in football. So it's different in rugby, like you mentioned, because in rugby it's the centre referee who says, okay, can we have a look at this?
Yes.
Or sometimes even the TMO can then tell the referee and say, okay, listen, we have spotted X, okay, you need to have a look at that. In cricket, it's up to the captain, to then review and say, okay, well, we are not happy with the decision you've made. Can we send it upstairs? And of course, they're given 2 bites at the cherry. And if it works out for them, it works out for them. If it doesn't work out for them, it doesn't work out for them. So we need to understand the protocol that's in place. And that is where a lot of the confusion has been stemming from. And I'm sure, of course, a lot of the watchers, should I say, would have opinions on what we are talking about regards VAR. And we want you guys just to comment with your thoughts on VAR. We're going to try and read as many messages as we can regards that, because it's been very, very controversial. The happy thing for me, though, Barry, is that I've seen less and less of VAR as soon as we hit the quarterfinals.
Absolutely. At the quarterfinal stage, in fact, I can count the amount of times that there's even been discussion by the referee and him putting his hand to his ear. In fact, the centre referees have been running the games as if VAR doesn't exist. And I think the more of that, the better, because what we want ultimately is to have the beautiful game played in the way that we've always known, that we've always believed, that we've always trusted. So, tomorrow, it's England taking on Belgium, but I'm told by my VAR here that we're not going to discuss it. I've been told.
Well, we're going to have a brief chat, because it's a meaningless game.
It is.
Let's be honest. These guys have just lost the semi-finals. You know, the motivation is not great, because there's no difference between finishing third and fourth. In truth, there's really nothing to play for. You'll probably find out that both Belgium and England will see this as an opportunity to field all the fringe players that haven't had game time throughout the course of the World Cup. So for England, we're likely to see the likes of Fabian Delph, the likes of Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Trent Alexander-Arnold, the 19-year-old from Liverpool. Those are the guys that we are likely to see play. Similarly as well, the likes of Moussa Dembele for Belgium. Those guys who have been on the fringes of participation for Belgium. Those are the guys that are going to get a run out in this game. It's a game where, to be honest, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. That's why I wouldn't want us to waste our time or energy, valuable time on that, you know.
100%. But the big one is the finale. It'll be played at the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow, and running out on that particular night, Sunday night, it's going to be France taking on Croatia. Who would have thought that Croatia would be coming through our lips as a finalist in this World Cup?
Now, listen, if you had asked me before the start of the tournament, I thought to myself, Croatia, at best, quarterfinal.
Quarterfinalists.
France, at best, semi-final.
Semi-final,
no one. And I know, you'll get some guys out there who say, you know what, I saw this coming. No. No one saw this final coming, because we all thought of Brazil. We all thought that of Germany. We all thought that of Spain. I even thought that Argentina, some thought Portugal would go very far or deep into this tournament. Now we go France and Croatia. 2 unlikely teams are going to be contesting this final. And so for me, it's a great opportunity for these 2 teams. I think France have got the youngest squad at the World Cup. Those guys now can usher in a period of dominance in world football.
Certainly.
But it has to start with this. They made the finals of the Euro Championship 2 years ago. Can they go one step further? Because a lot of people think it's easy to win international tournaments. You ask Lionel Messi, he'll tell you it's very difficult, because Lionel Messi got to 3 consecutive finals, wasn't able to get over the line, because it's that difficult. And it's not guaranteed for France, having made the final of Euro, to kick on and win the World Cup. They may miss out again.
But Mike, and I'm going to borrow a stat you've just given us. Youngest team at the tournament being France. They're running out against the Croatia side that has gone the distance in their last 3 knockout games.
Yeah.
Okay? So they've had to go to 120 minutes, penalty shootout in the round of 16, penalty shootout in the quarterfinals, and in the semi-final going 120 minutes with against England. Is fatigue not going to be an issue for this Croatia side?
No.
Because yes,
not for this side.
You know what?
Not for this side.
Why?
In theory, I know it's easy to say, yeah, these guys, you know, they've been playing a lot more football. I think someone has done the calculations, and these guys have actually played, I think, a full game more in terms of time
than France.
So you would like to think, Barry, but these guys are paid professionals. These guys are no mugs off the street.
Yeah.
You know, these are professional athletes. These guys are earning £250,000 a week.
Thanks very much. I'll take some of that action. I'll take some of that action.
So these guys, and this is the biggest tournament. This is the biggest game of their lives. If they can't get themselves to perform on this stage, Barry, and also you take a look at Croatia, their makeup. We said the same thing before they played England. And we said, oh, you know, these guys might be fatigued, these guys might be tired, England might be the fitter side, might be the keener side. Now you tell me which side looked keener in extra time. Croatia. Which side looks fitter? Because you take a look at Croatia. Remember, it's also the war generation.
Yeah.
These guys were born during the breakup of Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
These guys were born during war. You know, their stories documented of Brozovic, you know, as a youngster having to hide under dead bodies. Modric lost a family. I think his grandfather shot in front of him at the age of 5. So these guys have gone through a lot. So in terms of that mental toughness, they have it.
Yep.
They've got that resilience. They come from a part of the world which hasn't seen too many good days.
Right.
And so they'll be up for it. And, you know, in terms of patriotic fervor, these guys, I think, have it a lot more than the French players.
Okay, here's the deal. We've seen Croatia in all of their outings be slow starters. Can they afford to be slow starters against a French side? We saw even against England, the most in the recent past, whereby England dominated for 30 minutes. Yes, when Croatia then got into the game, they pummeled the English. And let's be fair, I mean, England was taken to the cleaners by that midfield that was solid. But this is a French side that can get behind you, get goals, finish their chances. If after the first 30 minutes, this Croatia side is 2, maybe 3 goals down, can they work their way back?
This French side that we say keeps, listen, they could get behind you and get goals. They did that in one match against Argentina.
Agreed.
Yes. So
they can do it again.
So let's not negate how they've played throughout the tournament, because they haven't played one game. What has been the characteristic feature of the majority of their games? They haven't scored many goals.
Nick one.
And exactly. They're a good defensive side. But they're up against a Croatia side that's able to play in a number of ways. They've got a very strong midfield. They've also got a target man in Mandzukic who was able to get a goal out of nothing. That winner versus England was a goal out of nothing.
Everybody
and it's got the winning goal. Yes.
He was alive to the fact, bang.
They got trickery as well on the wing. Perisic, Kramaric. So they got different ways of playing. So this is not a Croatia side that you think can go 1-0 down and then fail to get themselves back in the game. They have fallen behind in the last 3 matches, got themselves back into the game. So this one is going to be very interesting. Now, there we've got about 5 minutes left, so let's set up the competition. We want your predictions, okay? Who do you think is going to win the final? Is it going to be France or Croatia? But you've got to give us a reason. We're going to read as many messages as we can in the last 120 seconds or so, and then we'll pick possibly, the last 2 minutes, then we'll pick possibly the best response that we think, and you will be the winner of that Roku box courtesy of Soul Zimbabwe.
And the Roku box, it allows you to stream your Kwese channels. You're going to get 1 month free of Kwese subscriptions. You'll be able to watch full bouquet on Kwese TV, and that is a great benefit. And remember, if you've got a Zol connection, you can watch HD TV, Kwese TV. So the Roku box is a fantastic giveaway. And don't forget the Pause 4 rewards promotion that's already started on the 9th of July. It's running until the 30th of November, where monthly you could win yourself hotel accommodation, airplane tickets. We're giving away smart TVs, smartphones, home theater systems every single month. And then we've got a grand draw at the end of November where we'll be giving away 2 NP200s. You could be one who drives away happy. Thanks to Zol Zimbabwe.
Okay, from your line of questioning, Barry, I would like to think you're backing France.
Actually, no. You know what?
You believe so much in them.
No. All I was saying
they've been scoring
is that
goals, they get behind defenses, etc.
and by that.
So you're back in Croatia?
I'm back in Croatia.
Okay.
And what I wanted to get.
Do you
out
think
of
Croatia can win?
I think Croatia can win. I think it's going to take Croatia going the distance with France. Why? Because I think Croatia is able to give a goal. France has a fantastic defense, but Croatia is a 90-minute team, 96 minutes, including referees' optional time. And for me, I don't think France can concentrate for 96 minutes, so they're going to give a chance. When that chance comes, Croatia is going to take the chance. We're going deep in this game. We're going to extra time. I truly believe that. We're not going to go to penalties. And I think extra time.
And if you take a look at the pattern of World Cup finals, they're really classics. I mean, the last classic, you have to go back maybe to 1986 when Argentina won it with Diego Maradona. But you go 1990 in Italy, not a classic. No. Just a war of attrition between West Germany then and Argentina. You go to 1994, one on penalties, another war of attrition, Italy versus Brazil. 1998, perhaps, you know, Zinedine Zidane with those 2 goals, and of course they blew Brazil away. Then you have, of course, Brazil doing the business over Germany. Then 2006, war of attrition. Again. 2010, war of attrition. Again, between Spain and the Dutch. And the last World Cup in Brazil, 2014, war of attrition again, went into extra time. So they're really classics. And so I would back you that, listen, it wouldn't be surprising to see these teams go deep and go into extra time. And I think the one with the mental fortitude, the one with the desire, probably carries the day in this game.
Sharks, Croatia to win it at the first time of asking. Remember, this is their first time going to a World Cup final. And they win it at the first time of asking. That will be some story.
There's always a first time.
There's always a first time.
20 years ago, France, at their first time of asking, they won it. So could we have a new winner? Could we have a new winner? Well, let's go into some of the messages that have been coming through here. A lot of guys want to talk about VAR, actually. Monty Nyamagwete, how are you doing? You say Croatia can't afford to be that honest versus France. Is that a factor? Can they afford to be gung-ho? Can they afford to attack France? Or do they keep it tight and disciplined at the back?
I think it's a cup final. So you're going to have to be disciplined in every department. In terms of being gung-ho and going for it, it's a cup final. Go for it. And I think they can. Yes, they risk conceding, but in truth, they also have the reward of getting a goal.
Okay, Vusin Dlovu, you say, I think France will win with the midfield. They have Pogba plays best with someone who's defensive behind, and Conte will support Pogba. Simbanelta Gary Fupa Jenna says France to win it because in each area of the field they are stronger and their bench has possibly the better and more decisive quality to change things. Those are some of the predictions. Man. You agree that they have a stronger midfield? I disagree about the midfield.
I disagree about the midfield, but I will agree with Simba the bench boost in inverted commas. I think France has got a better bench. I think France is able to do, and also they've got those 2 wing backs who have surprised us all, Pavard and Hernandez. They've been fantastic. They are surprise packages because they can do something and create things that you don't expect.
And of course, Simbarashe Mandonia says Croatia will definitely take this one. And I've got to say, who do we give it to here? Who are you going for? I'll say Simba.
Simba, which Simba?
Fupajena. I think Simba Fupajena. Congratulations to you. I mean, great message. We disagreed with you, of course, about the midfield, but great message. And for all of you guys who have been watching, thank you so much. And we hope you enjoy the World Cup final. Barry's backing Croatia. I am backing them. I don't think they'll win it. I still think France are favorites, but I'll be supporting Croatia. I love an underdog. A nation of just 4 million. They'll be the ones I'll be supporting.
May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.